Hey guys, as always, it's the Digital Pumpkin Cat, and today we will be ranking 10 of the most hated Spirit Halloween props in pretty recent years that we've gotten. So, first I want to say, these are there's a ton more, but, I don't have time to get them all. So I got just top 10 most hated props off the top of my mind. These are these are props that I think maybe 80%, maybe 70% of the community would agree with me that it is hated. So, they're not very controversial props I'm picking out here, and that's why I grabbed 10 of these. So, let's get started. I'll show you the ranks. We have pretty good, doesn't deserve all the hate, pretty overhated, I guess, bad, terrible, deserves all the hate, and then awful, Spirit's worst despised props. So, let's get into it with the infamous Johnny Punk. Now, let's see, where do I want to put Johnny Punk? So Johnny Punk here, he's definitely grown on me from when he first came out and from when I've seen him in stores. The thing with Johnny Punk is it's one of those props. Pretty weird and unusual concept, but it had potential, and then the execution, Spirit's downfall. But I mean, a lot of people are protecting this thing, and I get it. I'm not saying I don't see that it's a great prop, and I will never say it's a great prop. I'm just saying the execution is really, really terrible, and I think everyone with a tiny bit of decency would agree with me on that, because I think that's a pretty reasonable statement. So, where I want to put Johnny Punk is in bad, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like a lost cause, so it's I can't really put him up anywhere higher than that. Walking zombie girl. Speaking of Johnny Punk, cool blue Johnny Punk fan right there. So shout out to him. Anyway, Walking Dead zombie girl. She's 3 feet tall. I don't know when she came out. It was like 2016 maybe. And then she was like $100 for a little roaming 3-footer that, straight out sucks. So she makes chipmunk noises, for God's sake. That's not where I'm gonna put her. I just dropped her. She makes chipmunk noises. And the rest of the audio is like, I'm gonna grades. It sounds so dumb. It's so dumb to look at. And when you want a roaming prop, you usually want like a scary roaming prop coming at you, not some piece of garbage just rolling at you. So you can't. It's terrible even for CVS, if that tells you anything. Just the look. The audio is so dumb too. And yeah. Okay, wheelchair granny. Here's the thing. People are calling this like the worst Spirit prop of all time. Here's the thing. Animation's terrible. The audio's terrible. The face deformities kind of suck. That's it. Unlike a lot of these on the list, a bunch still hold up to this, but if you just leave wheelchair granny static, she's pretty good. Like, come on, it's a granny with no pupils in a wheelchair with a bloody butcher's knife. So, gotta give it credit for that. I'm gonna put it right here. I think that's pretty okay for her. Tombstone Terror. Nothing's really wrong. So this is kind of like Night Terror, Cremator, and kind of what is his name? The clown from 2016 situation. I didn't get to put him in. I think he was in Zombie Girl's place, and I was like, I'll go with Zombie Girl instead. But Tombstone Terror is just, there's nothing really wrong with him, He's just straight up boring and straight up lazy. But other than that, a skull popping out of a tombstone, I can't say is the worst thing we've ever seen from a Halloween company. So, while it is very, 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 very generic and very just uncalled for from everyone's favorite retailer, I can't say it's awful. Tombstone Terror, they were getting us hyped with the name, and then, it's this thing. We can't rely on spirits' names anymore, so I'm just gonna put it in bad. It's obviously a really bad prop. The thing is, again, like I just said with my statements, there's nothing really wrong with it, Young Crouchy, collector's minion didn't quite make the cut, and even if he did, I don't think I would put him on this list. He's not even really a young collector. He's kind of his own character in a nutshell, but shares collector's look almost, and, I don't think he's personally hated. I think he was actually overrated and then forgotten, which he should be. So, yeah, that's that. But anyway, in terms of Young Crouchy, he's the complete opposite. He is definitely remembered when it comes to being one of the worst props of all time in terms of Halloween. And he's definitely not his own character unless you count giving him crappy lights and making him smaller. Because here's the thing. If he was his own character, he would be pretty great, actually. He would probably be B tier, A tier almost. So he would be pretty great. Like, little scrubby clown. That would be pretty cool. But since we've gotten a 7-foot one in 2019, and we just got some crappy 4-foot one, it's the worst decision Spirit has ever made. I don't even think a lot of people bought this thing. Just because it was Crouchy, of course, a lot of people bought it, but come on, why even display this? I would be ashamed to display this thing. I think it goes... Actually, I don't know. I think I have to put it down with Zombie Girl. I think it goes in front of Zombie Girl because at least Zombie Girl is her own character. So, actually, you know what? I did that wrong. If one is worse, they go behind. So, Night Terror. This is one I actually just got, and I can tell you right now it's going there. Pretty good. Doesn't deserve all the hate. I think that's very valid for Night Terror. Because, here's the thing. Night Terror is a great character. He's a good budget prop when you consider $80 for this guy. And he's a budget prop, as of a lot of these on this list. But, I like his character. I like his animation. I like his phrases. I like his look. And I like his quality. And I like his price. I don't think there's one thing I don't like about Night Terror personally. Except, maybe if he was taller, bigger, had more size, had a little more character to him, had more animation, but I just basically turned him into like a 280 animatronic instead of a budget prop that he is. So, budget prop, leave it at that. I don't think I would change a thing about Night Terror. Yeah, go Night Terror. Cremator, definitely the worst of this year for me. Worst spirit prop of this year for me, without a doubt. The thing is, everyone was, getting hyped, including me, Cremator. How can they screw up that thing? If a being has the nerve to call something a cremator, it better be freaking awesome. And, it's a bedsheet holding a crappy-looking skull. It's not freaking awesome in any means. The only thing awesome about this is the audio. But that being, the audio could fit any single Reaper prop in the world. Like, if you make a Reaper prop, you can throw it on him, cross the threshold. Like, it's not creative, but I like it. And do I have to talk about him? He's a bedsheet. I'm gonna put him in bad. It just shames me to talk about him, but he goes probably right there. You know what? No, I think that was good. Yeah, Cremator is probably the worst in there. So, yeah. I know I said in my Spirit 2024 ranking that I still like him, but no, he's now just bad in my book. You can't blame me. Bag of Bones, we've got Tombstone Terror's friend. Same deal with Tombstone Terror, there's nothing really wrong with it. It's just boring in a bland concept. At least it has more than Tombstone Terror. Granted, it was like $30 more, which just get Tombstone Terror at that point if you want a jumping skeleton, but I don't get you. Anyway, honestly, the skeleton on Bag of Bones looks pretty great. I like the facial expression it's making, and I just like the skeleton for some reason. Tombstone Terror, come on, I can't look at that thing. But here's the thing, Spirit is basically selling this prop as an advertisement. Like, you put a big-ass sign in your yard, go to Spirit Halloween, that's basically what this thing is via the bag. And, I mean, if they had a scarecrow jumping out of this thing, or even a zombie, for that matter, zombie farmer, just something, I would be happy, and I would call it a day, I would say, this prop is okay for what it is, and, that's that. I would leave it at that. But since it's just a skeleton, and they didn't have the nerve to pull themselves together and just put a tiny little farmer's hat or something on him, make a new sculpt, just something, even though they have another jumping skeleton this year that also sucks, I don't know what they were thinking in 2022. 2022 was just an awful year. Spirit's worst, for sure. And, yeah, it's going right there in bad. You know what? It's honestly, I don't think a lot of people can say this, but I'm going to come clean. Bag of Bones is honestly worse than Tombstone Terror for, the reasons I said. First, it's marketing, basically. It's a advertisement on your yard. Two, while it does have better lighting and while the skeleton is good, the concept of something jumping out of the bag is wasted here, while the concept of a skeleton jumping out of the tombstone is also wasted, but definitely makes more sense. So, yeah. Okay, Headless Jack, or as I like to call him, Jawless Jack. He is returning on Haunted Hill Farm. I believe they said 309, which it's not worth it for this thing. But Spirit sold it for $280. Can we just get a good price on Headless Jack, anyone? Can someone return it again, and can we bring it down to $200 so I can finally buy it? $200 is... anything over $200 is not worth it for this thing. $201, I'm still going to complain. It's, even though it's tall, it's a static, and it's mostly cloth. Speaking of which, I don't hate it at all. Even though even though it's mostly cloth, at least it has character to it, unlike a lot of these on the list. This is probably the one I would want the most on this list. It would probably be Night Terror, but I have Night Terror. So, if I got to choose one on this list, it's got to be a Jawless Jack. Because I've always found him creepy, honestly. His whole stance, his whole way that he's skinny and hunched over, his whole jack-o'-lantern being ripped off the bottom, the fingers are creepy as hell, and of course, the height is freaking intimidating in person. I got to see him in stores, and I would like the tiniest bit, the tiniest motor in that head to just make it turn side to side. If they did that, us hunters could say, you know what, it's not a static, it has animation, it's just another giant, and the character is pretty good, in my book at least. The fact that it doesn't have animation makes me mad, because I like statics. But props that need animation, why don't they have animation? This is one that needs animation to survive in the Halloween world. So I'm going to put it in pretty good, doesn't deserve all the hate, which is exactly my thoughts in a nutshell. Pretty good. It's overhated. So, there you go. I think Night Terror is a little better than him, so, he's up front. Alright, Mommy's favorite, our last on the list. And I don't know where to put her, honestly. This is honestly a really hard one. I guess I'll talk about her first and just find a place, because she's a hard one to rank. First of all, when she came out in 2020, 2020 is honestly an underrated year, but she was definitely the worst in 2020. We didn't have much bad ones in 2020, considering it's like everyone's most hated year, and considering, we had a bunch of stinkers. No, not a bunch of, I'm thinking of 2022, but yeah, definitely. She was like the one bad prop, the one oddity, the one odd man out in the whole lineup, because, the lineup all had good concepts. If they were bad, they had good concepts. Take the Cremator and Night Terror, for example. But her, there's just no way you can make something like her good. Like, Mommy's favorite. Name sucks. Concept sucks. Like, I killed my mother. Shush, don't tell her. She's already dead, bozo. And where's the blood? If you're going to make that... First of all, it's kind of weird to put this in stores when they argue, they can't put stuff like Rick Ratman in stores. Rick Ratman is gory, yes. But, the whole, I killed my mother. And then when Reagan says, I killed my mother. And then when Betty Sharp says, I killed my mother. What's this? Anyway, Betty Sharp is definitely miles better than this. Betty Sharp was kind of like Spirit's apology for this thing, and I think it was definitely needed. I'm a Betty Sharp fan. I like Betty Sharp. Cause hey, at least she had a knife, at least she had a bag, and at least she had blood. Why doesn't this thing have blood if it freaking went stabbing one night? So, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm putting it in... What just happened? Yeah, that happens a lot. I'm putting it in... I don't know if I can do this. She has some character to her. She looks really stupid. It's kind of stupid she doesn't have blood, but they were going for something, unlike the two down here. I think it belongs up with Bag of Bones, right below him. I think that's a valid place for her. Mommy's favorite is just sucky, and honestly, go Betty Sharp. So thanks for watching, and as always, Digital Pumpkin Cat, like and subscribe. That was my ranking of the top 10 most hated Spirit Halloween animatronics of all time. Worst is controversial, but yeah, there it is. I think it's a pretty solid list, and I think I will get a lot of haters for this list down in the comments, but again, I think it's pretty solid, and, my opinions, I can do whatever I want, and, yeah, I think it's pretty damn good, and I guess, see you guys in the next video.